Welcome to Awakening You channel. If you appreciate what we do, please support us. Thank you. Dear brothers of Earth, I am Lyle, Pleiadian ship commander. Being here and being able to transmit my messages is a moment of great joy. I'm not going to give a report today. Today I just want to share with you feelings of great gratitude, feelings of love, feelings of peace and harmony. In our world, everything is quite different from this dimension. There is no rush, desperation, readiness that you experience on this planet. As time goes by, everything is measured by the clock, by this clock where you keep track of time. Time? To time? This time we can say is something to control you, so that you live totally dependent on this time. Everything has a time. Everything has a time to start, everything has a time to end, a time to arrive, a time to leave. And you get used to this little control all the time. This control begins from a young age: time to feed, time to cry, time to bathe, time to play, time to study, everything has control. From the outside we can see you as many robots, manipulated and totally fitted into the world that was created for you. A world in which only a few are allowed to circumvent these controls, few who own most of the wealth on the planet, and who do not need to fit into any control because they themselves created the control. So they are able to stay apart, just observing that bunch of toy soldiers that they created over time. These little toy soldiers are you, who are always in a hurry, never they stop to observe nothing, they are always late, they are always stressed, because they don't do what was asked within the time. And increasingly, these same controllers create rules, create norms, so that you become more and more tied to time. Many realize this. Many people have the ability to perceive that something is wrong, that this is not good, that simply allowing themselves to be enveloped by so many norms and rules is destroying their physical body, destroying their peace of mind, destroying their balance, and they try to release all this stress in other ways, with nature, doing constant physical exercise, eating correctly, so that there is at least a balance on the scale. They will continue to respond to all that control. But they will also have the other side of the scale, where they are happy, where they are balanced, at least in some moments. In this time now, everything is more unbalanced than ever, because in addition to all this control, you had to adapt to greater control of the pandemic. Where more and more you realize that everything only gets worse, in their vision, in what they go through. There is no light at the end of the tunnel, there is no prospect of improvement. When there is a feeling that everything will fall into place, they quickly come and put something worse, so that you become dependent on the fear of this pandemic again. So what can I say to you? Get out of this control, realize that this control is only good for those who control you. Observe whether the one who controls you obeys the control. I'm also not going to say here that everyone is the same. There are those who are so dependent on control, that despite managing a mass, they also allow themselves to be managed and fit into that control, where nothing is ever good, it always has to improve. No matter how much you work, no matter how much you give your blood, as you like to say, it is never good, more is always needed, because they were completely catechized for this, to bring imbalance to everyone under their supervision. Never well-being, never pleasure, never work with happiness. You work because you have to, you work out of necessity, you work because you have no choice. It does not have? Or you have been led to believe that there is not. If there were clear and transparent choices, they wouldn't act like this. They would act in a different way, so that you would not actually make the choice to go to something that gave you pleasure. Exactly because there is no way to demonstrate these choices, because they are covered by this entire system, they do this. So you are led to believe that you have no choice. Either you work there and suffer all kinds of subjugation, or you go hungry, sleep on the street, and are unable to survive. But we can tell you that choices exist, and there are many. And despite the pandemic, many have found these choices. Many opened their hearts and had time to observe how much they were manipulated and controlled. And today they are doing what they like, they are no longer slaves to those controls. So realize that the masks are falling, before you label that everything only gets worse. Understand, everything will get worse every day, but not in reality, not in truth. Everything is only made worse by the media. The media, which is their voice, makes you believe that there is no light at the end of the tunnel, that it will never get better and that everything only tends to get worse. So I say to you and I say, we observe your entire planet. We have, so to speak, informants at each point. So we know exactly what happens to each of you. We have already told you this, that you are all monitored, so that we can be sure of how much energy we have on the planet. So we know exactly what each person thinks, what each person goes through, what each person does. Don't think that we put chips in you, we do this only with love, with telepathy, with observation. Then many will say, but I didn't authorize you to read my thoughts. Then we will say in response, that this authorization was given by Sananda. He authorized all of you to be monitored so that we could also help you leave and find new paths. And we have done that. You are often being guided by us, to transform your lives, to change your ways of living. Of course, many don't resonate with us, so nothing we put into their minds, they accept. On the contrary, they think it is absurd, that they are dreaming. But many of you who are awake, when you receive an intuition from us, you think it's great and you act and run after it. And in this way, many have changed, many have let go of that control. Many are doing what they love and this makes the planet's energy improve, because there are more happy people. So while they try to convey that everything will only get worse, it's another way of saying to you, don't run after anything because it won't help, everything is bad and will only get worse. So that you keep yourself increasingly under control, within the time designated by them, stressing you out more and more. So, to finish, I want to pass on the following to you: seek freedom, seek what you like, seek what makes you happy. Look at yourselves. What have you become? Get out of these robots that you have been programmed with. How to get out? Thinking of you first, thinking of making yourself happy, each one of you. And even if you haven't found that wonderful choice yet, the simple fact that you realize that you don't want to be under that control will give you another energy. And even if you have to submit to that control for a few hours of the day, the rest you will be elevated, you will be thinking about making yourself happy, in those few hours that remain. Live with your families, rediscover the meaning of love between you, love between friends, love between strangers, just by being kind, polite, supportive. And you will realize that the more this happens, the more that news will become darker, worse every day. Because these are the last breaths of those who still think they can ruin everything, that they can ruin the entire plan for this planet. So get rid of the control. Even if you have to work under this control, shout, the light has won. Several times a day, during your work, and you will see that it no longer seems as bad and as controlled as they want to show you. It's as if you become transparent to those who control you. Try it, it doesn't hurt to try. Do this, and you will see that, little by little, that work that was pure control and pure stress will become even enjoyable, because you still need it. But never forget to seek your complete happiness, which is to find a new path. And let us tell you, there are many, many, many new paths.